Table Talk, a place for honest conversations and getting to meet friends, and we are going to do both of those things today. Y'all, I'm excited for you to get to meet Andrew Buck.
Thanks, Betsy.
Thanks for coming today.
For sure.
It's going to be really great, y'all. You're going to enjoy getting to know Andrew, and this conversation we're going to have today is an important one, and man, really listen and then ask the Lord what you're supposed to do with it. So I'm super excited. Very glad that you are coming today. How long have you been at Sagemont now, you and your family?
June of 2020, so right during the pandemic.
In the middle of the pandemic.
One of the only churches that was open and wasn't a TV church, and that was a big deal, so we came in.
Did you grow up here in the area?
Nope. My wife is from Friendswood,
okay.
But I'm from Norman, Oklahoma, and so...
How did I not know you were from Norman? That's fun. Okay, yeah. There you go. Is that where they were playing the World Series?
Oklahoma City, so just north.
Somewhere up there. Yeah. That's so fun. I didn't know you were from Oklahoma. I like it up there. It's beautiful. And your sweet wife, Kaylin,
yes,
is precious and wonderful. And 2 kids.
Yep, Jovi and Blaine, almost 3.5 and 1.5, so they're keeping us busy.
Yes, and they're so cute, and y'all have the cutest, sweetest little family. I've loved getting to know your family through Hatched, which is a connect group here at Sagemont for our young families, and Donald, my husband, and I get to kind of be mentor couples.
Yeah,
we get to pretend like we're 30 and hold the babies is really listen, it's the best. I walk in every Sunday and somebody goes, hold a kid, and I'm like, thank you, yes I will, all day, all morning, and y'all do such a good job with that class, and I know there's a team of y'all running and doing that, but if you are hatching babies or recently have, it's a great class to come and get involved in.
Yeah, newborns to kids generally 10, 12 years old is kind of our range, but we're just a group of younger families that are just trying to get to know Jesus a little bit better and have some good community.
I love it. So good. And y'all do a really good job of getting together. So y'all, even this summer, have fun things coming up. Some swimming, swims, things, some golf. Boys,
golf event.
Guys are going to play golf.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a place, it's a great class and good teaching, and the teachers do a really good job. I think it's fun, and I love y'all teach, and then we break up into discussion groups, which is really a neat way to do it.
They love their discussion groups, so it's someone teaches a little long, people start getting antsy.
Yeah, so it's like teach, and then you get to break up girls and guys and really have some good conversations and pray for each other and stuff. So great job with that. That's how I've gotten to know you and Caitlin and y'all's family. But I also got to know you a few years ago when you first had come to Sagemont. We sat down and you talked to me about, I guess, your career, where you work, what you do with Freedom Fight, and love this ministry. And so thankful that you came to Sagemont, because now Sagemont's gotten to partner and be a part of Freedom Fight. Explain to us, everybody, what is Freedom Fight?
Yeah, so Freedom Fight is really just a discipleship ministry. It's a tool for churches, men, women, to be able to begin helping others and themselves find freedom from pornography. And so that's really what we exist to do. I've been on staff for almost 6 years with the Freedom Fight. I serve over the operations for the ministry. And so we are really just interested in just trying to help churches, help leaders, help lay leaders be able to be equipped so that way they can begin helping people walk through their recovery and find lasting freedom that's in Christ.
I think it's interesting because it was during, I think, the marriage series, Pastor Levi talked about some of the statistics and issues with pornography. And I think it is for sure one of those things that for the longest time it's been one of those in the church that people go, oh, that's not an us. That's not a Christian issue. That's a world issue. And I think as statistics are coming out, and even it's not necessarily that statistics are changing, but not crazy change, just that we're acknowledging that it's there, and that inside the church, people struggle with pornography addictions or really struggle with a past of that and finding freedom to be able to grow and move away from that, and how it affects your marriages and how you parent and just, even your relationship with the Lord. And so I love that Pastor Levi acknowledged that it was an issue. Right now, and I'm just picking out of Andrew's brain, but right now for men, what are some of the statistics of how many men struggle?
Yeah, so it's just the average across the board, it's about 68% of men are using pornography monthly.
Oh, wow.
And so in those studies, what they found was really unique was the porn use in the church and outside the church is actually the same. And so all the stats you see, they're congruent. But for the younger generation, if you're 18 to, early 30s, it's, closer to 85, 90% are using it monthly. And so it really is a very pervasive issue because of just how available it is. But also just how
all you have to do is have this in your hand.
Exactly.
It is crazy that turn the TV on and think you're watching something that's okay, and then all of a sudden you're like, what in the, it's just so readily available. Yeah,
and so it's just the pervasiveness, the time someone's been using pornography, but it usually begins out of something that's more just curiosity, but then becomes a much deeper issue when you're using it to medicate and cope with those negative emotions. It plays into everything with the mental health crisis going on with Christians and non-Christians, especially the younger generation, and what's being fed into their minds, what Satan's using to really plant some deep seeds and really just deep anchors that's weighing a lot of people down from running the race that God's called them to.
Absolutely. And I know I asked you percentages for men because so often pornography has been been seen as a men's issue. And again, we are very much quickly learning that is not true either, that women struggle and deal with it just as much.
Right.
And so for women, what are some of the statistics?
So 8 years ago, if you were over 40, the Barna research came out was almost 0%, because there was just very little people said that they're struggling.
And that's ding, 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 that's key, that people just didn't say it. Right? 40 and older, listen, we were very taught that you just don't talk about stuff, especially that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So 8 years later, they do a follow-up survey. And so for women from 18 to 40, it's about 50% of women are struggling with pornography. And kind of like you said, if it's only a man's issue, the shame level goes to a new level. If I'm a woman, I'm not supposed to struggle with this. It's okay if the guys struggle. It's just, that's normal. But for me, I'm not normal. I can't tell anyone. Yeah. I'm stuck in this shame cycle, and I don't really know what to do about it. And so that it's increasing dramatically. Social media is playing a huge piece into, feeding the curiosity, which, we can talk about later, just the sex education that's happening for young adults primarily is through the internet. Yep. And so it's a great reminder as Christians to really press into the difficult conversations with our kids, because if we're not the ones talking about it, the world's going to fill that void. Absolutely.
I have 4 daughters, and that has been one of the things, because the way I grew up, we didn't talk about stuff. Right? You didn't talk about stuff. And with my girls, I'm like, we're going to have to have the conversations. And listen, it's not comfortable. It's awkward. No. But now that they're almost all in their 20s, they come to me with stuff. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, why are you asking me that? Especially my married one more than the rest. But it's so good. I think we have to do that. We need to be having those conversations because our children need a safe place to come to. And so as parents, we have to be willing to have, and even helping them go, okay, this isn't an awkward conversation. This is something we should be able to talk about in a correct light.
Right. We talk about de-shaming the topic of sex, porn, because there's a lot of God's truth about sex. God wants us to have an abundant sex life, and helping your kids see that as they're entering into puberty and entering into that curiosity of porn and all this stuff from the world is going to steal, it's going to kill and destroy what God's created for you to experience later. Yeah, absolutely. And so it's being able to have those conversations, de-shaming it, so it's not a once a year, it's not one talk, it's a part of your guys' conversation. Yes. Not every day, but it's it's something that's consistently just being talked about of, hey, it's okay and the biggest principle is you can always come and talk to me as your dad, and I will. You're not going to be punished. You can always confess. You can always share your struggle. And I want to support you.
That's right.
I'm not going to encourage it, but we can move forward from that. And so when keeping the kids from hiding from us.
That's right.
Is so
what's going on.
Integral.
Yeah, and I think it's so important. And this is one of the reasons I love what y'all are doing with Freedom Fight, and we're going to tell you some stuff that you can be a part of here at Sagemont, is there really is this sense of, as an adult, I need to be equipped so that when my kids, or even let's say I don't have kids, but my friends come to me and say, hey, this was where I'm struggling, we don't go, what? Yeah. What in the world? That, it's just being able to be equipped before the conversations even happen, just like we would be equipped to handle all different things that people around us are going to come and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I'm struggling with this, and getting equipped to be able to say, hey, let's look at what God says. Let's walk through the truths and the lies, about where you're struggling. And so I love that Freedom Fight and what y'all are doing. So talk a little bit about, first, talk about the recovery groups, and who those are for, what those look like, and because that was kind of the first thing we did at Sagemont was some recovery groups. So kind of talk about those. Yeah, so I've been leading groups here at Sagemont for 5 years now. So we've had over 50 men go through our groups. And let me say this, and you might say, I didn't even know we were doing that. Yeah, that's purposeful. Right? Like the group, it's not like, oh, I sign up for this and everybody knows I'm showing up for a recovery. No, y'all do. You do such a good job of it being. Yeah, the confidentiality is so important. Yeah, and that's a big piece, and so that's something I think we're still working on here at the church. Is how can get people who are wanting help have a proper person to reach out to then get plugged into the ministry where they can join a confidential group. And so our groups are very committed. We run 30-day groups that lead into a 7-month group. And so and once they start, they're locked. So we have 4 to 6 guys in each group, and so it's a small group, but that's what's required to be able to build the trust, to be able to be vulnerable, and that's just why I truly believe it's such a deep discipleship tool. Is because when you're going through our program together, you're learning all the things we're teaching you, but there's a Bible study that we're diving into, 2 or 3 of those every single week. And I get to know these people, and they get to know me at the deepest level anybody besides my wife really knows me at. And so that's just such a great picture of what deep discipleship looks like. And then from that, those people are finishing that as they begin walking in freedom and establishing some sobriety. They're able to go lead others. That's cool. Some of them might go through it again, but it's just the transformation that's happening in the groups, and it's all through the Lord. That's amazing. It's just creating the right type of atmosphere for that growth to happen. That's so good. And I think one thing is, when you look at marriages that are struggling, when a husband and wife are really in a place where they're struggling, I think we used to always say it's probably money. Money was a huge thing, like, oh, that's going to be the thing that really can cause issues. And I think now, and I don't know the research, but when pornography is a part of either or both people in a marriage, it is going to fracture. Like, it's going to be so hard to continue in that lifestyle and have a good, healthy marriage. Yeah. And so, well, you're right on. There's a professor from the University of Oklahoma, Dr. Samuel Perry, did a 6-year study of 3,000 people and was Christians. That's what his kind of specialty is understanding kind of the faith components of that. And what they found was that if one of the couples is watching porn, they're 318% more likely to commit adultery. Wow. They're twice as likely to get in a divorce, and pornography was listed as a major factor in the divorces that happened during that time. It wasn't the only factor. Like you said, money. All kinds of stuff. In-laws can be an issue, right? But sometimes I love my in-laws. It's not that. But just family dynamics might be a better term. But, absolutely. And then pornography was listed as one of the major things. And it's, again, if
God's called us to one woman, one man. And yet, if I pull up my phone and I'm watching pornography, video to video, right, what is that sowing to? It's sowing to variety. It's sowing to multiple, right? And that's just what's feeding my heart. Right. And so it makes sense why that 318% of committing adultery is, it's just one more. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I know it's true for women, I'm sure it's true for men. If my spouse is participating or watching in pornography, the immediate thing I think is I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm not enough. Why are you having to do that? And so then there's that base layer thing causes all these other ripple effects in your relationships and in your marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that, I think one of the biggest things and the huge reason I wanted Andrew to come on and discuss this is just like any sin, it's bringing it to the light.
Yeah.
It's saying, I'm struggling with this. And knowing that the church is a safe place to come and not feel like you have to already be perfect.
Right.
Like, no, come. This is where we want you to come and find healing and be able to share and say, you know what? I'm going to confess this because I care about my marriage, or I'm going to confess this because I want to be able to walk freely in my life and in my relationship with the Lord. And so I love that y'all have the recovery groups. Am I saying it right? Okay. Yes, we talked about that. Not support groups, recovery groups. And I love it. The recovery groups. And so right now at Sagemont, we only have recovery groups for men.
Right.
Correct? Not because that's all we want. We would love to have some for women.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so that's also a huge reason we're doing this is because, like we said, we know women struggle with this as well. I just feel like we're a few years behind the men in talking about it and dealing with it, and now women. And so if you're passionate about this topic, if you've walked through this, please reach out to me or Andrew if you're a woman or a man, but specifically if you're a lady, because we want to provide this.
Right.
A place for women to come. And, we got to have women that are willing to say, I'm passionate about this and this is important to me, or I have walked through this.
Yeah, just add on that's part of the freedom as a discipleship tool, right? As a ministry, we don't want all the people to come to us, right? We want to give it to the church.
Right.
So and I just happen to go to Sagemont. That's why I've been leading these groups is because I'm just a member here. So that's exactly what we want is some women to step out, to be bold, to, again, if you struggle, that's awesome. If you just have a heart for helping others, and you just see the need of, wow, there's a lot of women here. I've led Bible studies before. I can lead. I can facilitate this group. We have all the training. It'll take you one time to be able to kind of get a picture of how to do this, and it doesn't have to be done perfect, but it's it's
a willing heart to come and love some people. And I really talk a little bit. So this summer, Freedom Fight, y'all are actually going to do an equipping class.
Right.
So not a recovery class, but an equipping class. Talk about what that is.
So we want to, or I should say, myself and then the men's ministry and the women, we want to put on an equipping class that's for everybody, men and women, parents, just 18 and above is the kind of the only requirement there. It's going to be technically a 6-week class, but the first week will be the full equipping. I'll be going through the different brutal realities of porn addiction, the pervasiveness, destructiveness, and the addictiveness of this sin, talking about the different growth areas that Paul lays out in Ephesians of how does someone actually outgrow a porn addiction or porn struggle. And then there'll be an optional 5-week follow-up. If we get a couple of women's leaders, we can offer for the women, but it will be for sure offered for any man who wants to be further equipped. So the first week is going to be a crash course, and then the following 5 weeks will be a deeper dive. And so there'll be some homework and a little bit more commitment that'll be required in that. But so that's really my hope is parents are going to come, men are going to come, women are going to just again, not those just who are sort of struggling, but I would love to see anyone if you're a parent and you have kids that are coming up and you have no idea what to do, you need to be at this equipping class
Right.
because there's some work you got to do
Yeah.
to be prepared to help your kids. It really is. It's not a matter of if they're going to be exposed.
Yep.
It's a matter of when. And so if you haven't began talking about that, it's not too late. Let's start that conversation.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that it's an equipping class because it really is one of those where like, I want to see people walk in freedom in whatever area it is. And this is another place I can go to get equipped in another area.
Yeah.
And I love what you said. If you've led Bible studies, if you've been a part of small groups, if you've worked at Helping Hands, I mean, all the different areas, this is another ministry opportunity for you to come and help people grow in their walk with the Lord and take their next steps with Him, which is what we want to do here at Sagemont. Exactly. And so it really is for anybody and everybody to come and get equipped in this particular area. And so it is, again, taking down kind of the shame and the embarrassment. No, this is something we have to talk about. Yeah, we've got to be talking about this at Sagemont. So that equipping class is during midweek. This summer, so the end of June is when that midweek starts. You can find that information on the website. Go to the Grow tab, go down to midweek. I think it says Wednesday evenings maybe, and that'll be there, and you can register and sign up for that to be able to come and participate in that. Yep. If you are someone that's like, no, I know I need to be in a recovery group, how do they reach out to get information about those? Can they jump in one kind of whenever? Are there start and stop times with those?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And so our groups are closed. So once they start, they're closed until the next one begins. And so if you are feeling the conviction, you want to reach out, Jason Ryan is going to be probably the best point of contact. You could, if you just know me or my stuff, I get texts all the time. Right, so I don't know where it's at, but there's information out there for how to get to me. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but the counseling center is a third option. They refer some people, and just the counseling center is a great resource that Sagemont has, and we see it as a congruent kind of aspect to this. The two most effective things, if you're struggling, is having a relationship with God, one, but second is being in a small group. And so that's what the Free and Fight hopes to provide. And then supported by the counseling center. Again, like we have some marriage sections on what do I do if I'm married and I'm struggling with pornography? I haven't told my spouse, or maybe she just knows a little bit. It doesn't know the depth of the struggle. What do I do? So Free and Fight has, we cover over 3 weeks in our 7-month group, but that's where the counseling center can come into play is, okay, I need to do a disclosure. What is a disclosure? And then what support is there for the wife? And how do we respond? What's the path? And so that's kind of, I would say, how you're kind of married together.
I love that.
And how it works so well.
Yeah. And I would say, and like I said, if we know there are women struggling as well, and we want to be purposeful in being a support to that. So if you're like, okay, that's the men call Jason Ryan in men's ministry, I'm a lady, what do I do? Call me, email me, reach out to me, and we'll go from there and figure out what we need to do. So know that those resources are there. And one thing I want to make sure we mention is, just like you were saying, if you are a wife of a man that is struggling, y'all have a brand new resource you sent me. It's really cool. Talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, so we just published a new Bible study on the YouVersion Bible app. It's for women who might have a husband who's struggling. They know about it, and they're just really confused or lost on,
or angry.
And exactly.
And how do I process that? And I love him, but I don't like him right now. Those kinds of emotions that you have.
And those are all very valid. That's what we would call betrayal, and some betrayal trauma that could come up from that.
Sure.
And for how a lot of women's brains are interconnected, meaning we associate a lot of all the past is the lying, deceit. Right, everything was a lie. It's kind of where we can drift to, even though there's aspects that are very true about that. But there's also a lot of things that he was doing that were loving and trying to do things for you. But he just had this sin that he wasn't dealing with well. And so this Bible study helps see the biblical view and a path towards our ultimate goal in our ministry is always restoration. Right? We want it's going to be doing that process of disclosure, and when pornography struggle involves another person, it becomes very difficult because of the betrayal, the cheating, all the things, right? And so it's always going to be hard. And so many guys in my groups really struggle. I don't want to go disclose. Yeah. I'm doing great. I'm finding freedom. I'm scared that my marriage is going to be over, that I'm going to have to, I don't know there's just so much unknown around that, and it's so hard. But again, when that happens and you're able to move through that, through the pain and get together, processing that betrayal, processing, what we're seeing is the marriages on the outside, on the tail end of it are stronger, they're more committed, they're more vulnerable, because usually the case is when someone's struggling with pornography, they're not vulnerable about anything else either, because they're scared that it's going to lead to that sin. Yeah. And so it really is, God's just using the process of recovery to really bring his people so much closer to him. Statistically, only 2 or 3% of people find freedom or instantly delivered. And so God's using that process of discipleship, of recovery, really to mobilize his people, because what we're seeing is people who finish the freedom fight, people who are finding freedom, they're on fire for the kingdom. They're sharing their faith. That was true for me. They're excited to serve their wife. They're leading their kids well. They're walking closer with Jesus. And so God's really using that sin and redeeming it, and actually using it in some just awesome ways. Yeah, which is beautiful, and that's so how it's set up. And so it's great when we're willing to go, Lord, I'm going to surrender all of myself to walk through this process with you, to be who you have called me to be, to make your name great, to make people know you, and help people know you. So I love that. So YouVersion, y'all have this one that just came out for wives. Yes. But then y'all have some other ones as well on there, right? Yeah, our 30-day challenge is on there. We have a kind of a brain science conquering lust plan on there. And then the Freedom Fight is an app itself. Okay. So that's just where some Bible plans are. Great. But we have a whole ecosystem on our website or an app where you can create a free account. You have access to all of our tools. That's amazing. We actually have a community on there where you can find accountability. You can find small groups. All those things are all in the app. That's awesome. Then our 7-month course is all in there too. Okay. Such a good resource. And it's one of those, it's like such a good resource. We just need people to know about it. Right. Yeah. We need people to know that it's out there. And because, listen, you might not be the one struggling, but you might know someone that is. And to be able to put resources in their hand or help point them. Or, again, equip yourself to be able to have conversations and be helping. So, y'all, there's a lot available here at Sagemont on the internet. Like I said, Andrew, I know, would talk to anybody. Yep. He's super passionate about what the Lord's doing in this, and he's doing such a good job with it. And so thank you for being willing to let the Lord use you in this way to help others find freedom. And y'all, if you have questions, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Jason, Ryan, or Andrew, any of us. And listen, even if you're like, this isn't an area where I'm going to serve, or this isn't something I want, pray for everybody that is. Pray for the body. Everybody has their way of serving, and if this one isn't yours, pray for those that are, and that people will find freedom. So I thank you for coming and sharing. Yes, thanks for having me, Betsy. You're doing a really good job. It's a great thing. I love watching the Lord use you. You're doing a really good job. So y'all, thanks for hanging out with us today on Table Talk. We will see you next time.